Chapter 1. Lanka's Shaken Throne. The city of Lanka, once radiant with gold and pride, now breathes silence and tension. The death of Kumbhakarna, Ravan's mighty brother, has shaken the Rakshasa morale and cracked the illusion of Ravan's invincibility. Ravan sits alone in his private audience chamber, surrounded by towering pillars and burning torches. The throne beneath him feels heavier than ever. His many heads reflect his fractured thoughts. Rage, denial, sorrow, pride, and defiance, all at war within. Though he grieves the loss of his brother, he refuses to acknowledge any fault in his decisions. In Ravan's mind, Kumbhakarna's death was necessary, a cost of destiny. He sees surrender as weakness and is determined to break Ram, not bargain with him. His generals enter, delivering somber reports. Troop morale is fading. Lanka's outer defenses are weakened, and whispers of dissent grow louder in the ranks. Some advise negotiation. One even dares to mention releasing Sita. Ravan's eyes blaze. His wrath silences them instantly. That night, Ravan walks the palace halls alone. He pauses outside Ashok Vatika, peering at the grove where Sita sits under the moonlight, calm, composed, untouched by fear. Her quiet strength enrages him more than her resistance. Sita's eyes meet Ravan's for a moment. She says nothing. She doesn't have to. Her silence, her stillness, says everything. She is not broken, and she will never belong to him. Ravan turns and walks away, deeper into the night, back into his fortress. A king still in control, but no longer unquestioned. Lanka is beginning to fracture from within. Chapter 2. The Warlord and the Disciple. The dawn rises over the southern coast, casting its golden light upon the hastily built war camp of Ram's army, positioned near the edge of the great bridge, Ram Setu, that now links Bharat to the island kingdom of Lanka. Inside a large canopy tent, made from Vanara stitched fabric and supported by wooden stakes, Ram gathers his inner circle for the final war briefing. The air is still, heavy with focus and silent anticipation. Ram sits cross-legged on a straw mat beside a map drawn on parchment, weighed down by stones. The terrain of Lanka is detailed. Hills, forest lines, gates and towers, all based on intelligence Vibhishan provided. Hanuman crouches to Ram's left, his mace resting on his back, eyes scanning the map intently. Sugriv stands to the right, arms folded, confident but alert. Lakshman, as always, stands behind Ram, silent, intense, sword sheathed but hand resting on the hilt. Vibhishan, in simple robes, speaks respectfully. He outlines Ravan's defensive structure. Elite Rakshasa generals, key towers to target, and the weak spots in the outer wall. He hesitates, his voice cracking slightly as he names former allies who now stand on Ravan's side. Ram listens intently. His face is calm, without pride or fury. He thanks Vibhishan and begins allocating roles. Sugriv will lead the frontal assault. Hanuman and the Vanara elite will flank the southern hills. Lakshman will breach the eastern gate when the time comes. Ram's voice never rises. He reminds them all, this is not a war of conquest. They fight not for glory, but for Dharma. To rescue Sita, to restore order, and to hold power accountable. As the meeting ends, the warriors rise and bow. Outside, the Vanara soldiers sharpen their weapons and chant Ram's name in hushed excitement. The wind carries the scent of salt, steel, and destiny. Chapter 3. The Queen's Last Plea. As the sun sets behind the towers of Lanka, the golden city is cast into a deep red glow. Not from glory, but from the fire of tension growing within its heart. Inside the palace, silence has settled like dust, broken only by the sound of soft anklets. Mandodari, Queen of Lanka and Ravan's first wife, walks down the long marbled hallway toward the inner chamber, her heart heavy. Her silks whisper against the stone, but her thoughts thunder with dread. She is the last voice of reason Ravan might still hear. She finds him alone in his private sanctum, seated on a balcony overlooking Ashok Vatika. His eyes are fixed on the grove below, where Sita resides, unmoving, unwavering. His jaw is clenched, arms crossed tightly. The war council had ended. His mind was now only fire and fury. Mandodari bows slightly and speaks gently, not as queen, but as the woman who once knew the noble man beneath the warlord. She urges him to see reason. Return Sita, stop the war, end the needless bloodshed that has already taken Kumbhakarna and so many loyal warriors. Ravan does not reply at first. His silence is a storm behind calm eyes. When he does speak, his words are sharp, not shouted, but steeled. He accuses the world of hypocrisy. Why should he bend to Ram? Why should he, a king of Lanka, kneel to a forest-born warrior? Mandodari fights back tears. She reminds him, strength is not in domination, but in knowing when to let go. That love is not about possession, and that Dharma cannot be shaped to serve pride. But Ravan rises, ending the conversation. His back is turned to her now, Afyana, a man walking into the mouth of war, dragging a nation with him. She watches him disappear into the shadows, realizing that the man she once loved may be gone forever, swallowed by vengeance and ego. Chapter 4. The Bridge of Faith. The shoreline trembles beneath the feet of thousands. The Vanara army gathers along the southern tip of Bharat, their eyes locked on the vast blue expanse that separates them from Lanka, their final destination and the site of fate's great reckoning. Ram stands at the water's edge, the waves washing around his feet. Beside him are Lakshman and Hanuman, with Sugriv and Vibhishan a few steps behind. The mood is reverent, not tense, for what lies ahead is not just war, but destiny unfolding. The challenge is clear. How do they cross the ocean to reach Ravan's fortified island? Ram prays to the sea god for safe passage. He fasts and meditates, standing motionless for hours. The sea responds not with words, but with silence, testing his resolve. On the third day, the waters calm, and Ram receives divine inspiration. The bridge is not to be gifted, but built through faith and effort. He commands the construction of a great setu, a bridge of stones, labor, belief, and unity. Hanuman, with unshakable energy, leads the effort. The Vanaras begin hauling massive rocks from the forests. The stones are inscribed with Ram's name, and to the army's astonishment, they float on water, held up by devotion and righteousness. Days pass, and the bridge takes shape, wide enough for the army, strong enough for elephants, monkeys, and even war chariots. Morale soars. This is no longer just an engineering feat. It becomes a spiritual symbol of Ram's Dharma. As the final stone is laid, Ram walks to the highest point and gazes at the golden outline of Lanka on the horizon. The journey across begins at dawn. Behind him stands not just an army, but a tide of faith ready to carry righteousness into battle. Chapter 5. Before the Gates. The morning sun rises over the sea, casting long golden shadows as Ram's army finishes crossing the Setu. Behind them, the bridge glows faintly with divine energy. Ahead lies Lanka, towering, gilded, and foreboding. The Vanara army assembles outside the city's vast black and gold gates, positioned in formations along the forested ridges and the sandy shoreline. The roar of drums, the clang of weapons, and the rhythmic chants of Ram's name fill the air. Ram surveys the walls of Lanka with sharp eyes. High battlements, watchtowers, flaming torches, and the silhouettes of Rakshasa archers form a dark crown around the golden city. This is not just a physical fortress. It is Ravan's pride. At Ram's side stands Vibhishan, who now wears the colors of Ayodhya. His face is tense. He proposes one final attempt to reach Ravan's conscience and avert a full-scale war. Ram agrees. Vibhishan approaches the city gates under a white flag, guarded by two Vanaras. Inside, Ravan is informed. His laughter echoes through the stone halls. When Vibhishan is brought before him, Ravan refuses to stand. He mocks his brother for siding with mortals and accuses him of betrayal. Vibhishan pleads one last time. Return Sita. End this before it is too late. But Ravan's pride is immovable. With a wave of his hand, he orders Vibhishan to be executed. Vibhishan is saved only by a loyal guard who secretly respects him. He is escorted out, physically unharmed, but spiritually wounded. As he returns to Ram's side, the decision becomes final. There will be war. Ram looks to the city one last time and whispers a prayer, not for victory, but for balance to be restored. His generals raise the conch. The siege of Lanka has officially begun. Chapter 6. The First Clash. As the conch echoes across the plains, the siege of Lanka begins. The Vanara army surges forward with coordinated roars, drums beating like thunder. The Rakshasa sentries on the high towers respond instantly, firing flaming arrows into the sky. The air fills with the sounds of war, screeches, chants, and the clash of metal. The first wave is led by Sugriev's southern division, made up of elite Vanaras trained for assault. They charge with improvised ladders, ropes, and siege hammers. On the battlements above, the Rakshasa archers rain fire-tipped arrows, their faces painted with war symbols, eyes glowing with fury. They chant Ravan's name as a call to hold ground, their pride in Lanka unshaken. Hanuman leads a daring flank. He leaps across the moat, landing atop one of the towers. With his mace, he crushes weapons, throws boulders, and disrupts supply lines. The Rakshasas panic, momentarily losing control of the wall segment. Meanwhile, Lakshman pushes through the eastern ridge, leading a more methodical strike. His sword dances like lightning, cutting through the outer patrols. His goal is not to break the gate, but to weaken the enemy's response system. Ram, still at the command line, does not yet enter the battlefield. He monitors the waves, allowing his lieutenants to test the enemy's strength and tactics. His face remains unreadable. His strategy is deeper than brute force. Inside Lanka, Ravan watches from a high tower. His expression is not fear. It is hunger. He smiles, pleased that his enemies have arrived. To him, this is not a siege. This is a stay. As dusk falls, the first day of war ends, with Vanaras holding sections of the outer wall, but no breach yet into the inner city. Losses are heavy on both sides. Fires burn across the battleground, and cries echo into the night sky. Chapter 7. Indrajit strikes. Night falls over Lanka, but there is no rest. Fires crackle in the dark as wounded Vanaras moan softly. Medics rush from tent to tent. Ram walks the perimeter quietly, offering calm words, lifting spirits with his mere presence. In the city's shadowed core, Indrajit, Ravan's eldest son and the greatest warrior of Lanka, prepares for battle. Unlike his father, he is quiet, methodical, and deadly, trained in dark astras and divine deception. At dawn, Indrajit rides out in a chariot pulled by demonic horses, cloaked in smoke and illusion. His weapon of choice is sorcery-enhanced archery, and he begins firing missiles that cannot be traced, invisible until impact. Panic spreads as one after another, Vanara soldiers fall from weapons they cannot see. Hanuman tries to intercept the direction, but the arrows come from multiple illusions. Indrajit vanishes into mist each time they close in. Ram orders a defensive formation. Lakshman takes command of shielding the rear flanks. Hanuman leaps to the skies to draw Indrajit's fire, but is struck mid-air and crashes to the ground, stunned but alive. Then Indrajit fires the Nagastra, a serpent-shaped divine weapon. It wraps itself around both Ram and Lakshman, binding them in coils of magic. The army watches in horror as their leaders fall, motionless. Ravan is informed. He orders celebrations in Lanka. Inside the palace, he praises Indrajit, declaring that victory is near. Drums beat in the streets. The tide, it seems, has turned. But in the Vanara camp, Vibhishan and Hanuman refuse to give in. They call upon the sages for help. The sage Shushan diagnoses that only Garuda, the celestial eagle and enemy of serpents, can break the spell of the Nagastra. Hanuman roars, ascends into the sky, and summons Garuda through divine chant. Garuda arrives, radiating golden light. The serpents unravel and dissolve. Ram and Lakshman awaken, and with them, hope returns to the battlefield. Chapter 8. The Queen of the Grove. While battle rages at the gates and illusions test the resolve of Ram's army, deep within the palace gardens of Lanka, Sita remains untouched by the violence, physically safe but emotionally surrounded by fire. Ashok Vatika, the grove where she is held, blooms unnaturally, as if trying to mask the dread that hangs over it. Trees bear fruit out of season. Flowers stay in bloom day and night. But to Sita, it feels like a cage with golden bars. Her days are quiet but filled with strength. She chants Vedic mantras, tends to the plants, speaks to no one unless necessary. Her guards, Rakshasi women, watch her from a distance, respectful but wary of her silent power. Ravan visits as he has many times. Today, he is more theatrical than usual, draped in crimson silk, gold armor, eyes gleaming with the illusion of confidence. He carries gifts, fruit, and jeweled ornaments, as if to tempt her submission. Sita neither flinches nor bows. She refuses the offerings with soft firmness. She reminds him, to take a woman by force is not strength, it is cowardice. She accuses him of hiding his weakness behind grandeur. Ravan's temper flashes. He threatens death, warns her that time is running out. But her gaze does not shift. She replies that her body may be in Lanka, but her heart, soul, and loyalty remain with Ram. Enraged, yet oddly humbled, Ravan storms away. The guards step back into the shadows. Alone again, Sita kneels by the tree where she first prayed on arrival. Her hands are folded. Her lips move in silent chant. Her strength now fuels Ram's war. Chapter 9. Duel of Brothers. Following the failed Nagastra ambush, Indrajit vanishes again into the shadows of his enchanted city. His tactics shift. Not brute strength, but misdirection, sorcery, and psychological warfare. Rumors spread that Sita has been killed. A phantom chariot appears, displaying an illusion of her burning on a funeral pyre. Ram falters for a moment, but Vibhishan warns. This is Maya, Indrajit's illusion. Lakshman, enraged by the deception and the earlier attack on Ram, demands to face Indrajit directly. Ram consents, but warns him. Indrajit is not just a warrior. He is a master of illusion, and the duel must be fought with more than skill. Vibhishan reveals the secret. Indrajit draws his invincibility from a yagna, fire ritual, he performs before each battle. The ritual is done in secret. If disturbed before completion, Indrajit loses his divine protection. Lakshman, accompanied by Hanuman and guided by Vibhishan, sets out to find the ritual site. They travel into the dark forests within Lanka's territory, facing traps, illusions, and astral barriers. At a hidden grove, Indrajit is found mid-ritual, seated before a massive sacrificial fire, reciting chants. His armor is off, his weapons beside him. Hanuman prepares to attack, but Lakshman stops him. This must be done in fair battle. Lakshman steps forward and challenges Indrajit. The fire is extinguished. Indrajit rises, armors himself in seconds, and accepts. The grove becomes the arena. A battle between two princes, one born from shadow, the other from light. The duel is fierce and fast. Astras fly, trees are split, ground cracks. Indrajit uses illusion and speed. Lakshman counters with precision and fury. Both are wounded. Blood falls onto sacred soil. In the final move, Lakshman invokes the Indrastra, a celestial weapon blessed by the king of the gods. It strikes Indrajit through the heart. The Rakshasa prince collapses, defeated, not humiliated. As he dies, Indrajit looks toward Lanka one last time and murmurs, "I only wish to be seen." Lakshman stands silent, sword lowered. He does not gloat, for he too is a brother. Chapter 10. Fall of the Titan. The death of Indrajit sends tremors through Lanka's golden halls. The Rakshasa soldiers, once arrogant, now begin to whisper fearfully. Inside his war chamber, Ravan stands frozen. His son, his heir, has fallen. In a rare moment of silence, Ravan weeps. But grief quickly turns to rage. He vows to destroy Ram's army with brute force. He turns to his last living brother, Kumbhakarna, the towering giant who sleeps for months and awakens only in hunger and war. Kumbhakarna is awakened through mantras and drums. He rises from his slumber, confused, groggy, and immediately begins consuming everything in reach: food, wine, meat, preparing for battle like a beast ready for slaughter. When Ravan meets him, Kumbhakarna listens without interrupting. Unlike others, he does not flatter. He speaks plainly. You kidnapped a woman who was not yours, and this war is a result of that sin. Ravan says nothing. He simply begs for help, as a king and as a brother. Kumbhakarna sighs, knowing his path ends today. Yet he marches, not for Ravan's pride, but to protect the innocent civilians of Lanka who will die if the walls fall. On the battlefield, the Vanaras tremble. Kumbhakarna appears like a walking mountain, wielding a massive iron trident, each step shaking the earth. Arrows bounce off him like twigs. Boulders shatter against his skin. Hanuman attacks first, but is thrown aside. Sugriva's best warriors fall like flies. Even Lakshman's divine weapons only wound him lightly. Ram steps forward. Kumbhakarna and Ram face off. Before the battle, Ram salutes him. Kumbhakarna nods. This is a fight between Dharma and fate, not enemies. What follows is a titanic duel. Ram's arrows pierce deeper with each mantra. Kumbhakarna's roars shake trees from the ground. As he loses limbs and blood flows like rivers, he fights on, not out of hate, but out of duty. In the final moment, Ram fires a celestial arrow into Kumbhakarna's heart. The giant collapses with a thunderous crash, like a fallen tree of the gods. His body lies still, not defeated, but fulfilled. Chapter 11. The Final Duel. With Kumbhakarna gone and Indrajit fallen, the once proud kingdom of Lanka trembles. The Rakshasa soldiers now fight with fear in their hearts, and whispers of surrender creep through the ranks. Inside his war chamber, Ravan stands alone, wearing black armor etched with the sigils of his ancestors. He gazes into a golden mirror, not at his face, but at his 10 reflections. Each head mirrors a different version of himself: the scholar, the king, the tyrant, the lover, the father. Mandodari enters once more, silently weeping. She begs him again, not for peace, but for remembrance. Do not lose your soul, she says. Ravan embraces her one final time. Then he dons his crown and walks toward the battlefield, a king to the end. Ram waits at the center of the field. He has not slept. He has not left. His army forms a wide perimeter around him. None will interfere. This is a duel of destiny. Ravan arrives in a black war chariot, pulled by 4 demon steeds breathing fire. His 10 heads glow with inner fire. He steps down, removes his crown, and draws his sword. No words spoken. The battle begins with astras. Ram fires the Brahmastra. Ravan counters with the Trishul Astra. The air is torn apart. Thunder cracks across a cloudless sky. Lightning dances on their weapons. Trees are uprooted. The ground fractures. Ravan fights like a hurricane, fierce, burning with pride. Ram counters with divine stillness, each movement precise, each strike purposeful. For hours they fight. Heads are severed but reappear. Ravan roars in frustration, regenerating endlessly. Vibhishan tells Ram, Ravan cannot be killed by physical weapons. His life force lies in his navel, protected by divine boons. Ram nods. He draws the Brahmanda Astra, a weapon of cosmic origin, whispers a final chant, and fires it into Ravan's chest, not with hate, but with compassion. Ravan staggers. His 10 heads do not scream. They fall silent. He collapses like a burning tower, his body resting in peace. The war ends not with a cheer, but with a hush. Even the wind pauses to witness the fall of a king. Chapter 12. Return and Reflection. The battlefield has fallen silent. Ravan's body lies still, his crown removed, flames rising from his royal pyre. Ram stands in the fading light, eyes closed. The war is over, but the cost lingers in every breath. Vibhishan is crowned king of Lanka, not with fanfare, but with firelight and quiet prayers. He promises to rule with compassion, justice, and restraint, to rebuild what ego destroyed. Hanuman is sent ahead to Ashok Vatika. When Sita sees him, she rises with composure. She smiles, not with relief, but with quiet knowing. The storm has passed, but another test lies ahead. Ram arrives to meet her. The moment is filled with silence. He does not run, nor does he speak. Instead, he announces, "You are free. You have proven your strength. Now prove your purity, so the people may know what I already believe." Sita does not plead. She steps forward, calls for fire to be lit, and walks into the flames. Agni, the fire god, rises and returns her, untouched, glowing, divine. Her soul burns brighter than the fire. Ram's face softens. He steps forward, touches her hand, and they walk together, not as husband and wife alone, but as carriers of Dharma, partners in a world that does not easily forgive. The army returns to Ayodhya. The bridge across the ocean fades behind them like a memory. In Ayodhya, Bharat awaits with Ram's sandals still on the throne. He places the crown on Ram's head, tears falling freely. Rama Raja begins, an era of justice, peace and law. Yet, Ram stands at his balcony each night, eyes on the stars. He knows Dharma does not rest. It asks for more, always more. But for now, peace is earned. Ram fulfilled his duty not through vengeance, but through restraint. Sita emerged not rescued, but revealed, as fire forged and unbroken. Raavan, though consumed by pride, died a warrior's death, reminding us that greatness without humility can become ruin. Conclusion. The journey that began in Scion of Ikshvaku wove through the strength of Sita, warrior of Mithila, the ambition of Raavan, enemy of Aryavarta, and finally converged here in War of Lanka, is not just the retelling of an epic. It is a reflection of the human struggle to walk the path of Dharma when the world offers every reason not to. If you enjoyed this storytelling journey and want more epic book summaries, reimagined legends, and rich mythology brought to life, subscribe and explore the rest of my channel. Whether you're into ancient tales, modern rewrites, or simply great storytelling, this is just the beginning. Thank you for watching, listening, and walking this path with me. May your choices be wise. May your fire never fade.